So in this screencast, we're going to have a look at what we'll be covering over the next 4 weeks in the microbit component of the this course, and we'll also be getting started with microbit. So if we just have a look at what we'll be covering, so in week 1, which is this current week, we'll be looking at an introduction to microbit, we'll be looking at some starter projects, and we'll be looking at variables. In week 2, we'll then move on to decisions, arrays, and some text blocks. In week 3, we'll look at the various different loop types that there are within microbits and some of the LED blocks. And then finally, in week 4, we'll be looking at some additional inputs, such as the accelerometer, the light sensor, and various different things like that. And then we'll be looking at games blocks. So let's get started with the microbit. So to get started, we're going to go to makecode.com. And then we're going to choose code under microbit, and that will bring us into a blocks editor, but we can switch between the blocks editor and the JavaScript code as well. So there is a scripts area within makecode.com. There are a number of code blocks, so there are basic, input, logic, loops, and so on, and lots of other ones. And over the next couple of weeks, as I said, we'll be looking at a number of these blocks. There's also an emulator, and this emulator will allow you to test code on the microbit before you actually put it onto the actual microbit. So it allows you to do your testing and your debugging and getting rid of all the issues you have before you actually put it on the microbit. I also find it's very useful for a classroom because you don't need a microbit for every student that you have. You can actually get them to do a lot of their coding and testing online, and then it's only at the end that you need to actually use the microbit. So you could have a bank of 10 microbits that you could use within the class, and that will give you sufficient to do a lot of the testing that you need to do. So once we go into makecode.com, there are a number of blocks within it. So it's quite similar to the Scratch environment, but there's a number of blocks in there. And the first one is basic, and in that you can show things like showing number, showing strings, showing LEDs, showing icons, and we'll work through some of those, particularly in our starter project. We also have a number of inputs, so we have things like on shake, so when you actually physically shake the microbit, you can code it to do some things. We have the on button A pressed, and also within that we can have on button B pressed or on button A plus B pressed. We have, as I mentioned before, some additional inputs like acceleration. There's a temperature sensor, there's a light sensor, and so on. So that they're all to be found within input. We have a number of loops, so there is a repeat loop, there's a while loop, and there's a for loop. So in week 3 we'll be looking at loops, and we'll look at the differences between these various different types of loops and when you would use the various different ones, and where a repeat maybe might be preferable over a while, or where a for might be preferable over either of the other two. We'll also be looking at some logic. So in this case, we're looking at decisions. So if something is true, then we do something. Or we can also have an if, then else. So if the condition is true, then we do one thing. Otherwise, we do something else. And then within the logic, we're going to be creating our conditions. So we'll be using things like equals. We'll be also using ands and ors within there. But again, that will come in week. So we're going to go to makecode.com. And when we go in there, we get a number of options, and we're going to click on the microbit to code the microbit. So when we're in here, we can see that we have a number of different things. We have our blocks here in the middle. So we have basic, and we have input, and music, and lots of different things like that. We also, so if we just click out of that, we can see here on our right hand side, we've got our scripts area, and then on the left hand side we've got our emulator, and this is where we're going to do our testing. So let's just have a look at some very basic things. So if we look at the basic here, we could say that on start we're going to show an icon maybe. So I can just pull that down, and I can change the icon to a skull or something like that. So I can restart my simulator here, and it's showing a skull on start. I can go into input, and I can do on button A pressed, and I could maybe show the string hello, and I need to just click this up here. So now when I press my A button, so on the start it's showing the icon skull, and it'll keep showing that until I do something else. And then here we've got HELLO and an exclamation mark. So you can see here when it's displaying strings, it just displays them one character at a time. So you need to be careful of that, because if you put a lot of text out there, it's going to be very hard to read it. So we're now going to go and create a new project to just cover some of the basics. So we're going to, on start, show the number 0. When the A button is pressed, we're going to show the string Pam. When the B button is pressed, we're going to show the happy face icon. When the A and B buttons are pressed together, we're going to show the number 4. And finally, when we shake, we're going to show LEDs of a frowning face. So here I'm just going to go to Projects, and I'm going to go to New Project. So when I click on New Project, it's going to create a new empty project. You'll notice here that it shows anything that I've worked on in the last little while on here, so you can see all of your projects in here. So I'm just going to click on New Project. Now remember, we said that we wanted to have on start, we were going to show the number 0. I'm just going to get rid of the forever here because I'm not going to use it, so I just click it and then I just drop it into the little bin there. So I've got on start and we're going to show the number 0. So now you'll see that when it starts, it shows the number 0. Again, I can restart the simulator here and it will show it again. You'll notice when it's restarting the simulator, the color of the microbit itself actually changes. So both yellow and now there's a blue one. So each time I'm just restarting the simulator. So that's the very first thing, on start, show the number 0. Now when you come into a project first, it always has on start and forever. But if you're looking for on start, you can actually go to basic. And if you go down the bottom here, the on start is there. The other thing to be aware of is when you go into any of the blocks here, so see I've got basic and it shows me all the things that I can do within basic, but there's actually some more here, and if you click on more, it just shows you the ones at the end. So you can do things like clear screen, show arrows and various different things like that. If I go to input, again, I get an option to show more. So if I just go to input, it shows me the first ones, and then I can click more, and you can see that on a lot of them all the way down. So I'm going to go back to input because I'm going to say on button A pressed, just to get rid of that show arrow north. I just brought that across by mistake. So here I'm saying on the button A pressed, and when I have the A button pressed, I want to show the string Pam. So I'm going to pull across show string hello and drop it in. And then I'm just going to type in Pam here. And when I now press the button A, it's printing out P-A-M, and that is working. Now what I want to do is I want to go back in, and when the B button is pressed, I want to show a smiley face. So I'm going to pull across on button A pressed. I'm just going to drop it here. Now what you'll notice here is, see the way I've got a button A pressed here and I've got another button A pressed here. This one down here is grayed out. And the reason for that is in microbits you can only have one button A pressed that is live at any given point in time. So if I have 2 on button A pressed, it's just going to choose one of them as being the one that it's going to use, and it just won't do whatever the code is in the other one. So it's not like environments like Scratch where you can have a number of different blocks, event-driven blocks, that actually do different things. You cannot do that in microbit, so you just need to be a little bit careful of that. So I'm saying here, if I click it to on button B pressed, you'll notice it changes from being grayed out now. So we're saying when the button B pressed, we're going to show the icon. So I'm going to go back into basic. I'm going to drag across here and I want to show the icon. And if I click here, it shows me all the icons, and I'm just going to select the happy face. So if I click on B, it shows me my happy face. So let's just do our testing again. Restart the simulator. It shows 0. Press the A button. It shows Pam. I'll just wait for that to finish and then press the B button and it shows me my happy face. Now I want to code on button A plus B, so I'm going to go to input again, pull down the on button A pressed. Again, it's going grayed out, but I'm going to check it to A plus B, and that's okay. And when the A and B buttons are pressed, I'm going to show the number 4. So I pull across, show number 0, and then I just click on the 0 and I change it to 4. Now notice that on the simulator over here, once I have coded an A plus B pressed, that option comes up on my simulator. So I can now click it, and clicking this one button is the equivalent of clicking the A and B button on the microbit. So I click that and it shows me my 4. And then the final thing I need to do here is go to input and then on shake, and on the shake I'm just going to go to basic, pull across show LEDs, and then I can actually just create a little frowny face. So I'm just giving him eyes and a little sad face. So here I'm going to click the shake button and it shows my sad face. So if I do my full testing again, Restart shows 0. A shows Pam. B shows a happy face. A plus B shows 4. And shake shows just the LEDs. So that's our very basic starter project. So in the next screencast, I'll be taking you through some other starter projects, and then we'll move on from there.